Let's paint a picture. So it's around 2016 and I'm in 8th grade. And I see a group of kids at recess that are my age playing wiffle ball. And I want to go up to these kids and ask them if I can play because I want to sharpen up my baseball skills because tryouts for high school are coming in the next year. And I just want to have fun and I want to make friends. I try to work up the courage to go and ask them, and I can't do it. I'm so cripplingly afraid of them saying, no, get out of here, we don't want to play with you, that I don't go up to them at all. I have been afraid of rejection my whole life. And frankly, I wouldn't say it's a bad thing necessarily, because if you believe in evolution as I do, you can easily see a world where human beings were hunter-gatherers and those who were rejected from the tribe were often isolated, and those who were isolated died. They did not get food. They were more likely to be prey to other animals. Their outcomes were very bad. So it would make sense for us to evolve a natural fear of rejection so that we can avoid it as well as possible. So this fear has served us very well. It's the reason that you and I are both here today. I don't think it serves us very well anymore. I think it does at times. I think it definitely, it probably prevents a lot of people from committing crimes, shit like that, because we want humanity to accept us. So we don't want to go to jail, because then that would make us a very low-class human being. So in that sense, in that regard, things such as that are perhaps useful. But there's a lot of times when it is not useful at all and it is counterproductive. I have been afraid of rejection my whole life. It has kept me from asking certain girls out, although I should be grateful for that because it's possible I wouldn't have met my wife Abby, whom I love so very much. And it has kept me from pursuing career opportunities. It has kept me from making certain friends. It is, in my perspective, more of a curse than a blessing. And 2 weeks ago, roughly, I found myself in the same situation as I was in 8th grade. I was in Baltimore City, West Baltimore. I was at Druid Hill, and I saw a group of guys playing basketball at Druid Hill Park, and I wanted to go up to them and ask them if I could jump in. And I froze up again. Same shit happened that happened in 8th grade. And now that I'm older, I have realized that I don't have to accept life as the way it is. I've come to learn that I can sort of poke life and things come out the other end, and I can change my reality. So I was not happy with this. I was not okay with this. So I started to look into what other people have done. I finally realized that I have a crippling fear of rejection. So I looked into what other people have done to get rid of that fear, and that is rejection therapy. It's pretty much the same deal as any other fear. Let's say you have a fear of spiders, and you really want to get rid of it because it's just getting in the way of your life or something. I don't know why a fear of spiders would get in the way of you living your life, but just for example. And so to get over that fear, what do? You subject yourself to some exposure to spiders. You maybe start with a really small spider, a really small little itty bitty baby spider, and you let it crawl on your arm. And it's really scary. It's pretty scary, but it's manageable enough for you to actually do it. And then by the time you're done, your monkey brain, your primitive brain is like, oh, okay, I didn't die. That's not so bad. You could do the same thing with any other irrational fear, a fear of clowns, fear of heights, although a fear of heights probably isn't irrational, it's probably very helpful. I don't know if you've ever seen those videos on the internet of fucking Russian people just scaling horribly terrifying buildings just for fun, because they're fucking bored over there. So anyway, as I was saying, rejection therapy works in a very similar way. You start off with very easy rejection, and what you do is you go out and you seek rejection. You go out and ask people in the real world absurd things that they could do for you. And you ask these things with the goal of being told no, of the goal of getting rejected, so that you can desensitize yourself to it. You start out with employees at retail stores, for instance, people who are sort of paid to be nice to you. They're not really allowed to be incredibly mean. And obviously you don't want to make their day worse. You don't want to inconvenience them, but if they're already not that busy at all, you can go up to them and ask them for something dumb. Like, let's say you're at, classic example is you're at Starbucks, you order a coffee, and before you pay, you ask if you can have it for free. Now, you're not really inconveniencing them that much. It's just an absurd request that doesn't make any sense, and it just makes you shrivel up a little bit. Especially if there's people near you who are like watching. You know the employee is going to say no, unless you get really, really lucky, but that's not really the point. So my very first night, it was the same night that I went to play basketball, and I went to Taco Bell after to get food. And I decided that I would ask the people at the drive-thru if they sold Jewel Pods. Cool cucumber Jewel Pods, to be exact, which are not even circulating in the market anymore. I believe they were banned because high school kids, including myself at the time, were hitting them. Don't vape. I don't vape. I use Zins now. So then the next day, I went into a store called Home Goods. I don't know if they have Home Goods everywhere, but it's basically just like a home appliance store with like couches and home amenities and shit. And I went in there and asked one of the employees if I could buy a house there, if they had homes that I could purchase, which they don't. And this may sound trivial, but I was incredibly scared to do this. I had to work up the courage for 5 to 10 minutes just walking around the store. And when I finally did it, I had a really funny and enjoyable interaction with this woman. She was like, "No, we don't have houses. We have birdhouses." And she laughed. And I was like, "Oh, that might work," as if I might live in a birdhouse. And it was funny. It was really funny. And she wasn't inconvenienced at all. She was just, stocking shelves. And I just kept doing this, and I've been doing this for 2 weeks. I haven't moved up the totem pole yet necessarily, because my plan is to do it every 25 takes. So after 25 of these, I move up to asking regular people for absurd things. And then after that, I move up to actually asking for things that I might really want. One of my favorite things that I've done for rejection therapy so far is I went into a tobacco store, and I'm actually 22, so I'm fine, but I walked into a tobacco store and told them, I said, "Hey, I'm underage, but I still want to buy that Geek Bar right there." And the guy at the counter was like, "No, I cannot sell you that." And I was like, I took a Pokemon card out of my left pocket. It was a Wigglytuff, and I took it and I set it on the counter, and I slid it across, and I was like, maybe a little something to sweeten the deal. And he looked at it, he looked at the Wigglytuff, and he just was so befuddled by the request. And he was like, "No, I cannot do that. I do not collect these. Oh shit, that was funny, dude. And what you do with rejection therapy is you work your way up. You start with the least threatening exposures that you could possibly imagine, and then you work your way up, and eventually you get to the point where you're asking regular people instead of employees kind of absurd things, like walking up to a random stranger and saying, "Hey, can I have a piggyback ride?" Dumb shit like that. And then you'll see videos on the internet, if you look it up on YouTube, of people like pulling out their phone in a big crowd and just like say they're on a plane. I saw this video of a girl on a plane, and she pulled out her phone and started recording and said, "Clap if you're ready to fly this plane." Like, if you're ready to be on this plane for this ride, something really dumb. And hardly anyone clapped. So she got rejected by a massive audience. And the only reason she was able to do that was because she worked her way up the totem pole of horrifying social rejection. And last weekend, I had been doing rejection therapy for, say, like a week at that point. And I went to go play basketball again. I went to try again. And I went to Patterson Park this time. And I saw that there were people playing. And I felt a little scared. But I walked up to a guy and asked him if he wanted to do a one-on-one. I actually did it. This shit works, dude. It works. Because the rational brain does know that if you get rejected, you will be fine. You know that if you get rejected, you'll be okay. We don't live in tribes anymore where you can be outcast or whatever. But the primal brain, our monkey brain, does not think so. So you have to prove to that part of your brain, to your amygdala or whatever it is, that you're not going to die if you get rejected. And it really fucking works. You have no idea how excited I am to continue this journey that I'm on. I have felt so held back for so many years, especially when it comes to just making friends. I just feel like I don't have enough friends, and I've lost friends because I'm just so afraid that they wouldn't want to spend time with me or hang out with me because they don't like me, so I don't even try talking to them. It's happened so many times. And I feel that it's like a cage. I feel that cage breaking. And it is so unbelievably freeing. And anybody could do it, as long as they start with something that's easy enough and just work their way up.